Welcome back to the On the Pitch podcast and part two of our interview with Coach Plucker of the Missouri Western State women's soccer team. This part will dive deeper into his recruiting philosophy and what he looks for in a recruit, as well as what he wants to see from his current players. Now, let's get to it.
Yeah. So going back to kind of that 5, 8, and 6 season, so you're not winning as many games. You're losing a couple, but you were close in almost
Yeah,
every. Like I look at
yeah,
your record, and I think you only lost like 1 or 2 games by 2 goals. Everything else was like a
yeah.
1-0,
Everything.
like a 2-1. Like dude, you were 3-2. I mean, you were in every single game. So it's not
Yeah,
like you weren't competitive.
no,
Do
sure.
do a lot of your players kind of see that? Do they kind of like? I know they see an L on the at the end of the day, it's a
Yeah,
loss, but do they look and say like 2 or 3 things go our way and it's a different game?
yeah.
Are they mature enough to kind of see that?
I think they are, and that's also how we kind of tried to spin it with glass half full of look like yes, I came in the spring, maybe I will myself and my staff weren't able to recruit as fully as we would have maybe fully liked to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just give it time, continue to do the work, and that was where even when I was on the outside, like looking at the job, I was like, okay, like they're close, like there's
Mm-hmm.
something there. And I just think again that first year, I think what just hurt us was we just didn't quite have the legs. We just didn't have the depth. Like we would play
Mm-hmm.
tight games, good games on Friday, and then come around and we play again on Sunday, and it was just a different team. We just didn't quite have the energy or the ability to perform at
Yeah.
the level that we needed. And so we were able to then, like I said, recruit and bring in some more reinforcements to help us. And I think that's just allowed us to be able to play at a high level longer and more consistently.
Mm-hmm. So, coming in as a new coach, did you have a lot of girls transfer out? How did that work? Like, because obviously, like at the high school age, the kids can't leave. They're not going
Sure,
anywhere unless they're
sure.
like a senior. So they're stuck with whoever they get here. But at the college level, kids can leave. They can leave with coaches. They can stay. They can
Yeah.
graduate. They
Yep.
can transfer. So whenever you came in, did you have a lot of girls leave? Did you have most of your girls stay? So it was kind of not really. Was it really not really your recruiting class that you had to deal with that first year? Or
Yeah.
go
So
ahead
I
and
was
talk about
able.
that.
We brought in a couple girls that first year, but it was tough because as late as it was, most of the incoming group that was signed and committed, followed through with it for that first year,
Mm-hmm.
and then even that going into year two where I didn't recruit some of those, they wanted to go elsewhere and kind of explore some different options, which I
Mm-hmm.
totally get. They were awesome people and teammates, but at the same time, it was just one of those, well, I wasn't recruited by you type of a thing, which again,
Yeah.
I don't hold it against them. So then, I think when I first got there in the spring, we didn't really have, not to my knowledge, and maybe it happened before I got there, but we didn't really have anybody transfer out. We had a big freshman group that spring. And they'll be seniors this year. Like we graduate 12 after this year. So like I said, we've got
Oh
a
wow.
big senior group. But like, I mean, they were pretty bought in and committed and wanting to kind of flip the script and kind of see things get better. And so, that's always nice when you kind of have that core that you can kind of build around and have on the roster. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're in that process of, making sure as close as we can, our classes are kind of evenly, numerically, set up so that way there's not like these huge gaps in our recruits. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to ever have to be in a rebuild. We always just kind of want to be in a reload.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously what myself and our staff are doing now. Is with us graduating 12, that's a big task, but we've got a lot of promising student athletes that are interested. And again, it doesn't hurt that we just had the year that we did to make
Mm-hmm.
him a little more intrigued and interested in our program.
Yeah. So I know this is kind of a switch from soccer to football, but like I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and so we've obviously like Notre Dame. I never went there. I was not smart enough to go there.
Sure.
Nothing like that. Just German Catholic guy here who dad always loved them too. So, but you notice that after they went all the way to the national championship, like I'll watch a podcast about them, and they're getting 4-star, 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 5-star, five. Like they're getting all these stud recruits because they had a really good, successful season.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, like, is the same kind of going for you guys now that you've won all those games, you've had a good season? Is the recruiting easier? Like, how does this work?
I mean, I would say it. I don't know if it's easier. I think it's opened more doors and maybe gotten us a little more attention, from the eyes of whether it's some of the clubs, some of the, like I said, the players, because again, like you mentioned, everyone wants to be a part of a good program.
Yeah.
And so I think that's helped. Now, obviously we still have to continue to do the, the work of making sure that they're going to be a good fit, both academically, culture, play wise. So I mean, there's pros and cons, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, it helps way more than it potentially, hinders. So, now it's just, again, trying to find the right pieces that we can bring in, and not just trying to bring in players because we're losing 12. Well, we have to fill these spots. Like, we want to make sure that they're going to be the right spots that we're filling.
Yeah. So when you're talking about filling spots and recruiting, what do you look for in a player? Like, what's your style? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a tough kid? Or are you looking for, because obviously you have to balance the academics as well.
Sure.
So when you're recruiting a kid, what are if you had to put 3 things on a piece of paper, and you can go in more in depth with it too, but if you had to have 3 key, principles that you look for when you're recruiting somebody, what would those 3 be?
I would say, just off the top of my head, probably, passion, because again, you got to be passionate about the game. You got to enjoy the process and do all that stuff. Very, very blue collar, high work rate. Like, those are, I said, again, we may lose, but it's not going to be because we're outworked. We want kids who are going to do the work and not try to find shortcuts, because you're not going to be successful that way. And then, honestly, like, just competitive. We want people to compete and to get after it. And you can have a mean streak. That's fine, obviously, as long as we're smart about things. But I think those 3 are kind of the big ones. I obviously, in the women's game, hey, if you have speed is deadly. That's something that can always, even kind of make up for maybe a lack of skill overall, is if you have the ability to kind of blow by defenders or things of that nature. But I think those are the big things. We talk a lot with club coaches, with high school coaches, with the prospective student athlete. And then if they come on campus, hopefully they most of them do, talking with our girls of, hey, how was she? Do you think she was a good fit? How did she interact with everybody? We asked the college coaches as well. Like, who is she as a person? Who is she as a teammate? Who is she, as a player? Like, we vet them quite a bit, because we want to make sure that, what we've seen and what we're looking for is truly what we're potentially getting when we bring that kid in.
Yeah. So when you're vetting them, how much do the parents come into that as well? Because we've all heard, and being a high school coach, we've all heard of crazy stories from some parents. Like, you can go into how much does that affect it as well? And do you have any kind of stories that maybe you've had to deal with a crazy parent or anything like that?
Obviously, to say we don't take some of that into consideration would be a lie, because we do, because it's all, how kind of involved everybody is in with their kids' lives. But at the same time, I also don't want that to be maybe the reason, oh, we're going to look away from you elsewhere because of, she is her own person, and that's why we want to, to bring her in. But yeah, obviously it is kind of all encompassing, and it's a package deal sometimes with kind of their involvement. But I said, I'm very big on that family component. So we love our parents. Our parents have a massive following. When we go to games, they tailgate together. They show up, and they'll raise the flag and have our school flag, going, and they'll have music and, an air horn going. Like, they said they buy in and commit almost as much as, like I said, the players. So I think that's an important piece, and to be able to have that interaction with them, as opposed to, it's coach. And like I said, we're all kind of in it together. So it's important. As far as stories and things like that, obviously I'm sure there's some, but at the end of the day, I'm very easygoing in the sense of knowing that, okay, their parents are one person and their child is another, and I'm able to kind of separate that enough.
Yeah, you can't punish a kid for the sins of their father. Isn't that the old saying or something like that? But I do know that, especially like it is so tough to not take it out on a kid sometimes when their parents being a jerk or something like that. As much as we, coaches want to say like, "Oh, we don't." It's tough. It
Sure.
does kind of put a little bit of a stink. I should say like a stink in a relationship because
Yeah.
you may really really like this kid. This kid may not be even having an issue with you, and all of a sudden you get a freaking 2-page email from a father who's mad about the playing time. Then you ask the kid, and you're like, "What's going on with this?" And they're like, "Oh, don't listen to my dad. He's an idiot." Or
And I mean, I get it. Like, obviously, they care about their kid. They're passionate about it all, and that's why, like, again, I try not to put too much stock into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So obviously, you've coached now. You're at the Division II level. So what was Eastern Oregon? What
They were
division
NAI.
was
They
that?
were NAI.
So you did 2 NAI schools
Yep.
before you did Division II. What's really the difference? So obviously, I know I played NAI. I played JUCO as well. I was never good enough to go play D2, but so I can kind of tell the difference between those two, but what's really the big difference between like your NAI and your D2 when it comes to maybe the level of play or
Sure.
resources or
Yeah.
scholarships? And
I mean, I think the resources and facilities, depending on those programs. So there's a lot of NAI programs that are competitive and could very well, beat Division I, Division II programs. That we know the landscape of soccer and how
Yeah.
that is. I think when my time at Eastern, while maybe we didn't have all the resources, we were able to make do with what we had. And so I think really you look at it, and whereas Division II, maybe the top 20, it's probably a deeper league with like ability and level, whereas like say NAIA, hey, that top 25 is very strong, but then there's a real drop off in regards to some of those other programs and clubs, and some of them is where the priorities are as well. And that's why I think for any prospective student athlete, I think it's important to do the research of, okay, is this school just having wanting to bring me in for retention and for enrollment purposes, or is it truly for to be a part of a program and try to be successful and succeed? So you look at there's NAI programs that carry 60, 70 kids on a soccer roster. That's crazy. But then you look, and like I said, those top 25 or those different ones, hey, they might have a better setup than some Division IIs, or even other programs. So I think it just kind of varies, but I think at the end of the day, if you can find a school that has the right fit for you and has what you're looking for, again, JUCOs beat Division Is, Division IIs, Division IIIs, NAIs, and all of them can beat all of them, throughout the process. So again, it's truly about just going and finding the right fit for you.
Oh yeah. So when Alex Nichols was at CMU, he beat Creighton, Division I program with an NAIA squad,
Yep.
and he wound up going and winning a national title later that
Yeah.
year. So just because maybe your league's logo doesn't say NCAA in front of it doesn't mean it's not high quality level soccer.
Yep.
And
so that was also one of the things, like even when I was an NAIA coach, that would be frustrating with trying to recruit some prospective athletes, because they have it kind of instilled or ingrained that it's D1 or bust, or, oh man, I got a D1 or D2, like NAIA, it's not there. Like, no, like you have to understand, like there's really good soccer, there's really good coaches and programs at all levels. And so, just being open to looking at that.
So how did you kind of convince some kids of that? Like, how did you kind of talk through them that? Like, pretend like I'm a recruit, right?
No,
like, I'm D1 or bust, but you're trying to recruit me for an NAI or a D2. Tell me how you do it.
I mean, I think when I was at Eastern, a lot of it was more like, again, trying to go find the profile of the kid that we were looking for, and maybe it was a more athletic but maybe a less skilled player that then we knew we had to develop, and we were able to build them that way. Not to mention, hey, do you like the outdoors? Do you like that? Like a lot of things that Eastern had to offer. I think here at Missouri Western, again, we talk about playing in an extremely tough conference in the MIAA. We talk about having, amazing facilities that are better than, even a lot of Division I programs. We have the full indoor turf facility. We have the stadium. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, like we talked about, use our facilities for their preseason. So, and their training camp. So, it's just, kind of highlighting on all the great and positive things that we do have that can help them be successful.
Yeah. And so I guess whenever we can stick with the recruiting, aspect of it as well. So obviously in this day and age, we've got so many ways for you to like find players. What is your one way that you, or where's, I guess, your big pool when it comes to wanting to find talent? Are you big on transfers? Are you big on high school players? Is it club players? Is it JUCO transfers? Like, what do you look for? And do you think that, do you, I guess the big thing was, especially when you're looking at, when you're a college coach, you've got to win, right? That's the aspect, right? So you
Yeah.
need girls and guys who are going to be there pretty much day one, ready to compete. And where do you see, I guess, your biggest, I guess, pool of players to
Sure.
be able to compete the first time?
Sure. I mean, we always tell our players, no matter what, like at the end of the day, we're trying to go find players to take their spots. It's their job not to let that happen, by doing the work and taking care of everything. So then when we go out and when we recruit, obviously, again, you're going to try as much as you can, whether that's financially or resource wise, staffing, what have you, to hit some of those big showcases and events for club soccer. And then one thing that's nice, obviously, with being in, where we're located, we're close to Kansas City, we're close to Omaha, Des Moines, St. Louis. Like, so we've got a lot of good kind of soccer hubs nearby. So we are able to pop down and maybe it's watch a club practice, maybe it's watch a high school game, or even get them to come up to campus and then, train with the team and get a better feel for it that way. So those are all things that go a long way. I mean, I think, there's nothing wrong at all. And we still a lot kind of will get put on by, just the old school email with some film and, hey, here's our high school schedule or here's our club schedule. We'd love to have you, come watch. And then that kind of piques our interest of, okay, we watched the film. There's things we like. Let's dive into it a little bit more and kind of see who this person is. And in regards to, transfers, whether that's a 4-year, whether that's from a JUCO, we definitely want to be able to supplement our roster a little bit that way, because I think that anytime you can have an opportunity to better your program and your team, you want to look at it. But I do think you need to have a very strong base. And I think that you grow that and you build that through your freshman class, because you're able to have them for that 4-year, 5-year period, and kind of they get the full on of what your culture is, what your team is, how you go about doing things, the pride that it takes. Whereas, you have a 1-year transfer who, they might like it and will buy in, but they haven't been through it all with the program, So, I mean, again, I think it's just about finding that balance, but I do think that, if you're able to have strong, like our current recruiting class, we have 5 freshmen and only 3 transfers. So, like I said, we have a bigger freshman group to be able to come in and help kind of, again, get a feel for it and then help us continue that foundation.
Nice. And then I've got like 1 or 2 more questions for you, man. So
Sure.
This has been awesome. You've been super great, dude. I love it. So I guess for this day and age, obviously it's way different. I was recruited back in 2013 to go play college soccer, and then you said back in 2004.
Yep.
So, and this day and age, obviously, we've got so many options to get recruited. Like, there's apps and there's emails and there's video and YouTube.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many ways to get recruited. What are some of the things that I guess you can tell if let's say it's your own kiddo trying to get recruited? What are some of the ways that kids can be doing things to get themselves noticed? Maybe they're at a West Plains or a Moberly or a smaller, or maybe they didn't play ECNL, but what are some things kids can be doing to get, recruited this day and age?
Yeah. I mean, I think also, big is just being persistent. If you just send one email, hey, I'd love to play for you, and then that's it. Like we get so many emails, or we kind of sift through so many things. So just being persistent of following up. If it's one of the top schools that you're interested in, like, until you hear that coach or someone from that staff say, no, thank you, or hey, we're full for our class, or whatever it may be. I mean, feel free to be persistent, because sometimes, again, it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But there's like you mentioned, there's a lot of different ways. There's agencies, there's recruiting services, there's club, there's just coming up with a good highlight film. And I think initially, if you can get their attention through a good highlight film, I think that really puts you in a good position to then be able to do that. In regards to getting recruited, I would say, in the day and age and the landscape that we're in, just being mindful and aware of, I know everyone loves, well, I got this ID camp, come on up. Well, just making sure one, you're realistic of, the school that you're going to say has an ID camp of, I could potentially play here, or is it I'm just going and maybe that school is using a lot of it as a fundraiser. Every school is going to obviously recruit and try to find somebody there, but a lot of schools also use them as fundraising opportunities. So just making sure that you're kind of vetting the schools as well, going on the websites and seeing, okay, we're graduating 12 this year, so we're obviously going to be looking for quite a few players. Whereas if there's another team, a program, hey, maybe they're only graduating 2, and maybe they've announced that they've signed 3 or 4, they probably aren't looking for as much, So just kind of trying to navigate that. And I also say, you want to utilize and lean on your resources. So if that's a club coach, if that's a college director, if that's a high school coach, just to try to help put yourself out there in regards to that. But I also think it's important that, once you do commit, or once you do kind of make that decision of where you want to go, like, to me, that's when the work truly needs to start happening. Because just because you committed, or you can say you can make that media post and get the likes and the attention, like, now you have to earn it. Like, you have to continue to earn that spot and to continue to develop. Like, if you just think, oh, I've committed, now I can just take it easy, like, you're going to get over recruited by that next year's class, or by even somebody else in that class. So that's where that mindset of constantly being the underdog, comes into play. And I think that can allow you to benefit, moving forward.
Yeah. I always think it's crazy when, like, obviously, like I said, football, like, those kids will have all the hats like lined up or whatever, then they grab them and they put it on. But I've seen some of those kids where they like fake like they're going to grab a hat, and then they put a different one on. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, you haven't earned anything yet, dude. Like, you're a nobody. There's probably 10 guys on that recruiting class, or 10 guys that are already on that squad that were there last year that hate that you're coming in. They're going to beat out your spot. So, like, I think a lot of kids today too you've got to be humble as well in your ability, because how many kids do you get, like, they may have a good highlight tape, they may be a good high school player, and then they show up and they're not there yet. How do you help those kids?
I think that's one thing we probably have to manage the most, is just that difference from high school to club to college, because that transition, it's different. And obviously it's different for everybody of how they acclimate to each program. And I think that's something that is we're losing it a little bit of. Hey, facing some adversity is not a bad thing. A lot of times, especially in like the club level, oh, I'm not getting playing time here, I'm going to go jump and go to a different club here. Or, hey, I come in as a freshman and, oh, I'm not playing, oh, I'm going to transfer out. Like, that's where your growth is going to happen, is going through some of those adverse times. So being able to stick it out and, come in, like we always said, we have our open door policy. Come in, what do you need to see? What can I help? And we're always communicating as well of, hey, we want consistency. We need to see this. We need to, you need to be more composed on the ball and let the game slow down a little bit. So, I think it's important that, they're able to, how they handle some of those situations, is going to help them, not just in soccer, but in life in general. So, that's one thing that I think with this day and age, that it's definitely different than when I was going through the college process.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to do 3 quick fire things for you. And if you want to rant on them, you can. Yes. But that's all I've got for you. So 3 more things, and we'll be done. So 1, what's your favorite soccer team?
Ooh, my favorite soccer team. I mean, I'm going to go the national team, as much as it hates me, as much as like I get frustrated with it. Again, I'm very big on that. So funny story with, like, if you talk soccer team in the past, I would have said Tottenham, but because again,
I'm sorry,
like with like Clint Dempsey, and like I just love supporting good players abroad, But the coolest story, a bunch of my college buddies, they were Chelsea and Liverpool fans back in the day, and then they decided to pick a team. They picked Brighton, like way before they even got into the EPL, and so like, we're just going to support them. That's going to be our team. We're going to like ride with, kind of like how the whole Wrexham thing has played out, And so I was like, okay, like I can get on board with that. And we actually this past winter went over there, watched a game. It was really like traveled down in Brighton. Like, it was a really cool experience. So, I mean, I think, again, if we're going to EPL, I'll go with the Brighton. I still need to dive into that a bit more, but I'm still a homer in regards to like national team or wherever an American is playing. Want to love to see them to be successful.
Okay, your second one, and you might have accidentally just said it, but who's your favorite soccer player?
Okay.
And I guess why?
I think the GOAT is Messi. Yeah, you get into this debate of Ronaldo or Messi and this and this. Just how smooth he is, and he's just a wizard with the ball. Like, I'm not trying to take away from anything that Ronaldo does, because obviously he's a heck of a player as well. I just think Messi is a more complete player, and it's just in awe when you watch. Like, it's just awesome.
And then the last one, this one's going to be a little controversial, but if you could change anything about NCAA, what would it be?
Ooh, NCAA.
So maybe it's a rule for soccer. Maybe it's a transfer thing. What would something you would change?
Sure. I would love to see like golden goal come back.
In overtime.
Yeah, the overtime piece. If it was not NCAA, like if we're talking like big, like just professional league, I would love to get rid of the stoppage time. Like, just stop the clock. Like, if people are going to roll around and try to milk the clock because they're hurt, just stop the clock, because then you don't have to mess with that as much. Like, you still know how much time you have. That would be probably, like I said, on the bigger scale. But NCAA wise, probably just bringing back golden goal. There's just like that energy and that excitement, and when you hit that game winner, in overtime. And I think that's always a fun component of it.
Well, man, that was perfect. Actually, it's funny you say that, because we, as a high school coach, we have golden goal in overtime, and it just always feels so tense. Like, whenever overtime's going on, man, it's like your blood is boiling. Like, you're just like, any mistake you make could lead to a goal. It's just, especially when it's a golden goal like that, it's crazy.
Well, and you think about it, like some programs and some teams, like, their goal, hey, let's try to get a draw or a tie out of this. So let's play more defensive. And so sometimes you might be the better team. And because even at NAI or even here, like, there's times where we're playing games and we're the better team, but we can't break them down, which again, hats off to them. They're doing what they need to do. But I've also had a lot of success because we've been deep, because we're a team that constantly works. Hey, we get into an overtime or we get into a golden goal, and we're able to then, find that moment and that opportunity. So, obviously, regular season, I get the player safety concerns and trying to make sure we're limiting minutes and being smart. Totally get that. But, at the end of the day, like, there's just that electricity from having a golden goal opportunity.
Yeah. So, Coach, is there anything that you want to plug? Do you have any like camps? Do you have like an Instagram? Do you got a mixtape coming out? Like, plug anything you want, man.
Hey, I mean, obviously our program's on, on X or Twitter, and then Instagram. We have an amazing social media department that does a lot with the content that we have. If you're interested, 26, 27, student athlete that wants to play at a high level, obviously feel free to reach out. We love to talk to anybody and everybody, and seeing if Missouri Western is potentially a good fit, and if not with us, then trying to even still help them find a place to call home. So obviously continue to love what you do and enjoy the game, and like I said, to me, it's you get these lifelong friends and opportunities through this beautiful sport, and to me, that's why it's the greatest game on earth.
Yeah, is the best way to contact you through email?
Yeah, through email or even social media. Just sending a message on any of those networks.
That out there. What's your email?
Oh man, email is just jplucker@missouriwestern.edu, and then I'll give you even our Twitter and handles. Our X handle is just @Griffin Soccer, and then on Instagram we're just Griffin_soccer. Yeah. So.
Okay. Nice. Perfect, man. Well, Coach, thank you so much for doing this, man. I know I just randomly sent you a message on Twitter, and we got this going. So
yeah, glad we were able to make it happen.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, man. Well, hey, you have a good rest of your day.
Yep, you as well.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the On the Pitch podcast with your host, Bridger Pretz. We're so excited Coach Plucker was able to come in and interview with us. He had so much insight on the way that he likes to run his program, as well as how he likes to recruit and what he looks for. If you're a current player who's looking to go to, or if Missouri Western is one of your go-to places that you're really interested in, please just reach out to him. He's a super easy guy to talk to, super awesome conversation. Again, you could find him on social media, as well as just finding out his email through Missouri Western Athletics. Again, it was a great job, a great interview with him, and I look forward to seeing how they do this year.